Have you ever wondered why some people treat your kindness like a weakness? Why they test your limits as if your patience has no boundaries? And why staying silent sometimes speaks louder than any words you could say? We've all met those people. The ones who interrupt you mid-sentence, make sly, passive-aggressive remarks, or treat your time and feelings like they're optional. It's frustrating, right? But what's worse is the unspoken question that lingers in your mind. Should I just smile and let it slide? Not today. If you're tired of biting your tongue around people who walk all over your boundaries, this video is for you. I'm going to share a clear, honest, and yes, slightly bold way to respond to disrespect. You won't have to raise your voice. You won't have to compromise your self-respect. And most importantly, you won't lose your cool. By the end of this video, you'll have practical tools to draw the line clearly, calmly, and with conviction. Let's dive into the first strategy. Strategy number 1. Embrace the silent stare. Have you ever tried responding to disrespect with silence? It might sound too simple to be powerful, but trust me, the silent stare is one of the most underrated techniques you can use. When someone behaves rudely or tries to provoke you, they're usually fishing for a reaction. They want to see you flustered. They want to watch you defend yourself, stumble, or lash out. It feeds their ego and their drama. But what happens when you give them nothing? Just a calm, steady, unblinking look? Let me tell you about a moment when this worked better than I ever imagined. I was at a family gathering. You know the type. Everyone's talking over each other, the food is lukewarm, and there's always that one person who finds something wrong with everything. This time, it was a relative who couldn't stop criticizing, from the decorations to the dessert and eventually me. He made a cutting remark aimed at me in front of everyone. I felt the sting, but instead of arguing or smiling politely, I said nothing. I simply turned to him and stared, calm, expressionless, and still. I didn't blink. I didn't frown. Just silence. At first he tried to continue, but then he paused. He fumbled. His words trailed off. You could see the discomfort rising in his face, in his shifting posture, and just like that, he stopped. For the rest of the evening, he kept his distance, and more surprisingly, he was polite, almost respectful. That silent stare spoke louder than any comeback I could have thrown. It didn't just end the behavior, it shifted the entire energy of the interaction. Without saying a word, I had shown him exactly where my boundary was. Sometimes, the most powerful response to disrespect is no response at all. When you hold someone's gaze with quiet confidence, you're saying, I see you, I won't engage, and I won't allow this. You're not reacting, you're not playing their game, you're simply standing in your power, and that's only the beginning, because next, we'll talk about a method that not only protects your peace, but forces others to reevaluate how they treat you. That silent stare we just talked about. It's more than just a pause, it's a mirror, a calm, unwavering boundary that reflects their behavior right back at them. And here's the important part. It's not about being cold or aggressive. You're not trying to escalate anything. You're simply saying with absolute clarity, I will not participate in this negativity. People who regularly disrespect others often do so without even realizing it. It's become a habit. They get away with their remarks or passive jabs because no one calls them out. Most people let it slide to keep the peace, to avoid awkwardness or confrontation. But when you hold your ground with nothing but a calm, silent gaze, it disrupts that pattern. You're not reacting. You're not explaining. You're simply there, still, solid. And in that stillness, something powerful happens. You become a quiet force of accountability. It's like holding up a mirror, forcing them to see what they'd rather ignore. And here's something else, that silent moment. It doesn't just affect them, it transforms you too. I used to be the type of person who laughed off rude comments just to ease the tension. I'd nod politely, or worse, try to explain myself, but every time it chipped away at my energy, at my confidence. It made me feel smaller, but the first time I responded with silence, just looked someone in the eye and said nothing, I felt something shift. It was like reclaiming my space. It was no longer about winning the moment. It was about standing in my worth, quietly but firmly. It felt like a quiet rebellion, a small act of self-respect that made a big difference. So the next time someone crosses a line, tries to belittle you, or makes you feel like you don't belong, don't rush to react. Try the silent stare. Let your calm be the weight they feel. Let them sit in that stillness and recognize their own discomfort. You might be surprised at how powerful you feel afterward. Because here's the truth. Silence is not submission. Silence can be your shield. Strategy, Dusker 2. Embrace silence as your answer. Have you ever noticed how silence can be the loudest thing in the room? When someone disrespects you, the instinct is often to explain, defend, or argue back. But sometimes, the strongest response is no response at all. Now, you might worry, doesn't staying silent make me look weak? Actually, it's the opposite. Silence is not weakness. It's intention. It's control. It's you choosing not to waste a single ounce of energy on something that doesn't deserve it. People who throw disrespect around are often baiting you. They're hoping you'll get emotional, stumble over your words, or react in a way that puts them in control of the moment. But silence strips that power away. It leaves them exposed, standing alone with their own behavior. When you say nothing, you're actually saying, this doesn't deserve my energy. You're not worth a reply. I am not here to play your game, and that can be devastatingly effective. Remember a time with a friend, someone I had known for years, who had a habit of making subtle digs, always under the guise of humor. One day he said something that crossed a line. The old me would have laughed it off, or tried to smooth it over, but this time I said nothing. I looked at him and let the silence hang in the air. He laughed awkwardly, waited for me to respond, but I didn't. The silence said everything. He never made another comment like that again. Sometimes not engaging is the message. And as we continue, I'll show you another method, this time one that uses your presence, not your words, to shift. The dynamic completely earlier, we explored how silence can disarm, disrespect, and reclaim your power. Now let's look at a moment where that choice turned an uncomfortable situation into a quiet victory. There was this one friend, the kind of person who liked to cloak insults in humor, you know the type. Always tossing out little jabs, calling them just jokes, as if that makes them harmless. But those jokes had a bite. And one day, he took it too far. He made a comment about my personal life, unnecessary, uncalled for, and clearly designed to get a reaction. In the past, I might have tried to explain myself, maybe even hit back with a witty comeback. But not this time. Instead, I paused, looked him straight in the eye, raised an eyebrow, and said absolutely nothing. I left his words hanging in the air like smoke that refused to disappear. He shifted uncomfortably, looked away, mumbled something under his breath, and then he changed the subject entirely. After that moment, something changed. He stopped dragging me into his mind games. It was like he finally understood I wasn't going to be part of that little performance anymore. That simple, silent reaction, it did more than any argument ever could. It ended the behavior, set a clear boundary, and showed that I wasn't someone who could be easily rattled. Because silence, when chosen consciously, is not just an absence of words. It's a powerful message. When you stay silent in the face of disrespect, you're stripping that negativity of its oxygen, starving it of the attention it craves. But here's the deeper truth. When you choose silence, you're choosing yourself. You're saying, I value my inner peace more than your fleeting approval, more than your opinion, more than this moment. That realization is not only empowering, it's transformational. So often we feel pressured to explain, to respond, to defend every choice we make, especially to people who haven't earned the right to hear our truth. But by staying silent, you're stepping outside of their game. You're refusing to let them set the rules. You're standing tall without even raising your voice. It's not just about controlling the moment, it's about protecting your energy, about keeping your peace intact while letting their negativity pass by, unnoticed and unwelcomed. Think of silence like a filter. It blocks out the noise that doesn't matter and protects the space that does. And the moment you stop feeling like you owe everyone an answer, that's the moment you reclaim your power. I won't pretend it came naturally to me. In the beginning, I worried that if I didn't speak up, I'd seem weak, passive. But over time, I noticed something. Every time I responded to someone who didn't truly respect me, I felt drained, like I had given away a piece of myself for nothing. But when I stayed silent, when I let their comments float by like static, I felt lighter, stronger, like I was standing on solid ground. Every time I chose silence over reaction, I felt like I was taking something back, something that had always belonged to me. So here's a small but powerful challenge for you. Next time someone crosses the line, pause, take a breath. So when someone disrespects you, don't rush to fill the space with words. Just meet their gaze, stay silent, and let that calm presence speak for you. You'd be amazed at how quickly discomfort creeps in for them and how deeply liberating it feels for you. Silence in those moments becomes your power, your armor, your truth, because sometimes the loudest message is the one you never say out loud. Strategy number 3, stop explaining your choices. Now, let's talk about something equally powerful, not justifying your life. Have you noticed how every time you make a personal decision, there always seems to be someone waiting to question it? Why did you choose that? Why didn't you go to that event? Why would you leave a stable job? It's like people think they're owed an explanation for every step you take, as if your life is a group project and they're entitled to a say. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation. Your choices are your own, your path, your rules, and you're not required to make it make sense to anyone else. Now, I know that might sound a little rebellious, but let's be honest. When people question your decisions, it's rarely because they're curious in a kind, open-hearted way. Most of the time, they want to judge. They want you to defend your choices, so they can pick them apart, or so they can feel more secure about not making bold moves themselves. And here's the trap. The more you explain, the more you open the door to their doubts, opinions, and unsolicited advice. When you stop explaining yourself, you reclaim something powerful, authority over your own narrative. You send a clear message. My life is not up for debate. So why do people feel so entitled to your reasons in the first place? Often, it's because your decisions highlight something about their own lives they're not ready to face. Maybe you're taking a risk they've never had the courage to take. Maybe you're stepping away from a comfort zone they've clung to for too long. Your independence threatens the safe little world they've built for themselves. But here's the thing, you're not responsible for their comfort. You are not a spokesperson for your dreams. You don't have to issue press releases about your decisions. I remember when I made a big change in my life. I left a stable, well-paying job to pursue something I was deeply passionate about. Something uncertain, something risky, but something real. And the reactions? You'd think I announced I was abandoning society to live on a deserted island. Why would you give that up? Are you sure you know what you're doing? At first, I tried to explain. I talked about passion, about vision, about long-term goals, but the more I explained, the more people questioned me. The more they chipped away at my confidence, then one day, someone asked the same tired question. Why would you leave a stable job? And I simply said, because I want to. No long answer, no justifying, no emotional labor spent trying to be understood, and let me tell you, it was like flipping a switch. The silence that followed was pure gold. They didn't know how to respond because I hadn't given them anything to debate. I had removed their imaginary right to dissect my choices, and in that moment I felt free, unshakably free. So next time someone demands an explanation for your life, remember, you can simply choose not to give one. And in the next part, we'll go even deeper, because there's one more thing you can do that changes everything when it comes to commanding respect. In the last part, we talked about the quiet power of not explaining yourself, about standing in your truth without handing over your decisions for review. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop justifying your life, people eventually stop asking. That's the unexpected freedom that comes from not offering explanations. When you confidently own your decisions, without apology or defense, you stop wasting your energy on approval seeking and start channeling that energy into living fully on your terms. There's a deeper message in all of this. Your life doesn't need an audience's applause. Not every decision you make needs to be unpacked, understood, or agreed upon by others. And when you stop trying to win over every doubter, you send a powerful message to the world. I trust myself enough to walk my path without needing your validation. Let's be honest. Have you ever seen a truly confident person breaking down every choice they make for others? Probably not, because people who are truly grounded in their lives don't look outside for approval. They don't need the world to understand them. They understand themselves. That's enough. I've been there. I used to give people a full presentation, almost a PowerPoint, explaining why I made a certain decision, hoping they'd get it, hoping they'd agree, but all that effort only led to second guessing. The more I explained, the more I invited doubt into my own mind, so I made a personal rule. If someone asked me about a decision, I'd give a simple, honest answer, 1 or 2 lines, nothing more. And if they kept pressing, I'd just smile and move on. And guess what? Life got so much lighter. The less I explained, the more certain I became. The more I honored my own judgment, the more powerful and free I felt. So here's a small challenge for you. The next time someone questions your decision, resist the urge to dive into explanations. Just say, "Because I want to." Or, "It's the right choice for me." Then, stop. Let the silence do the rest. You'll be surprised how powerful that moment becomes. You'll feel more grounded, more in control, and most importantly, more at peace with yourself. Because the truth is, your choices don't need permission slips. They're valid because you made them. And now let's go one step further, because sometimes it's not just about what you say or don't say. It's about who you allow close enough to question you in the first place. So once you stop explaining yourself, the next question becomes, who even deserves that kind of access to your inner world? Because here's the truth, not everyone earns a front row seat in your life. Strategy number 4, keep your distance. Creating distance from certain people doesn't mean you're bitter. It doesn't mean you're holding a grudge or overreacting. It simply means you've chosen to respect yourself, to protect your time, your peace, and your energy. Keeping distance isn't about shutting people out or being cold. It's about being intentional. It's about deciding who actually deserves to be close and who drains you every time they show up. Think of your life like a private club. Not everyone gets a VIP pass. Not everyone should. If someone continuously oversteps your boundaries, constantly leaves you feeling emotionally exhausted, or makes you question your worth, why keep them in your inner circle? Creating distance gives you something invaluable: clarity. It clears away the fog that emotional manipulation and guilt often create. It allows you to see people and their patterns for what they truly are. Let's be honest. When you keep people close who disrespect you, it's like giving them an all-access pass to your emotional space. They come in, criticize your choices, judge your lifestyle, chip away at your confidence, and you're left wondering why you feel anxious, tired, or low. It's because you've let them feed at your emotional buffet. Pulling back isn't cruelty. It's self-respect. It's self-preservation. I remember one friendship in particular. This person never missed an opportunity to make a passive-aggressive comment about my career, my relationships, even the music I liked. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe that's just their humor, I thought. Maybe I'm being too sensitive, so I kept them close. I tolerated it, week after week. But eventually, I realized something. I was walking on eggshells every time we met, bracing for the next jab, smiling through discomfort, and deep down it was exhausting. So I tried something new. No confrontation, no drama. I just created space. Instead of seeing them every week, I met up once a month, then even less. And you know what? I felt lighter, more myself. The fog began to lift, and I could finally see the dynamic for what it really was. Toxic. That space gave me the distance I needed to understand something crucial. I deserved friends who supported me, not ones who subtly tore me down. Now here's the part no one tells you. When you start distancing yourself, some people will say you're selfish, but they're family. You've known them for years. Don't be so cold. You might even feel guilty for pulling away. Society loves to tell us to be loyal, to forgive, to always give people the benefit of the doubt. But at what cost? Here's the hook. Truth no one teaches us soon enough. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It's necessary. You are not here to be someone's emotional punching bag. You are not responsible for carrying the weight of people who refuse to respect you. And sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is to step back. Because in the next part, we'll look at how distance doesn't just protect you. It actually makes space for better, more meaningful connections. So, as we've seen, sometimes the most powerful way to say enough is to simply take a step back and protect the peace you've worked so hard to build. Because here's the deeper truth. Distancing yourself isn't just an escape from negativity, it's a powerful declaration that you matter. You don't have to play the roles other people assign to you. You're not required to hand over access to your thoughts, time, or emotional energy just because someone expects it. When you create space between yourself and those who consistently disrespect you, you're saying, clearly and calmly, my well-being comes first. And that's not selfish. That's wisdom. Distance isn't always about shutting people out. Often, it's about creating the space to refocus on the relationships that actually nourish you, the people who see you, support you, and celebrate who you are. Think about it. The more time you spend around people who respect you, the more confident, centered, and fulfilled you feel. You're energized. You're affirmed. You grow. But the less time you give to people who constantly criticize, manipulate, or drain you, the less impact they have on your mood, your thoughts, and your life. I used to feel guilty for pulling away from certain people. Even when they weren't kind, I wondered, am I overreacting? Should I just put up with it? But over time, I realized something that changed everything. Distancing yourself isn't just a defense mechanism. It's a growth strategy. It's not about running away. It's about making space for clarity, for peace, for the right people to walk into your life. So here's a challenge worth taking seriously. Take a moment to reflect on the people in your life, the ones who consistently make you feel small, drained, or unworthy. Now ask yourself, do they truly deserve as much access to your mind and heart as they currently have? Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do for both yourself and them is to step back. And now that we've talked about protecting your space, let's shift to something more subtle, but equally powerful, your posture. Because how you carry yourself in the face of disrespect, that speaks volumes. Let's talk about that. So far, we've talked about creating emotional space. But there's another kind of space that matters just as much, the one you carry within yourself. The kind that shows up in how you stand, how you walk, how you hold your head. Because sometimes confidence isn't about what you say, it's about what you radiate. Strategy number 5, hold your head high. There's something undeniably powerful about walking into a room with your head held high. It's a subtle gesture, but it sends a clear, undeniable message. I know who I am, and you can't shake that. I remember dealing with someone who seemed to thrive on tearing others down. You probably know the type, always smirking, always ready with a comment disguised as humor, but aimed like a dart. Every time we met, there was a dig, a little jab masked as a joke. And every time I tried to brush it off, telling myself not to let it get to me. But it did. Inside, I felt smaller. I'd brace myself before seeing them, as if putting on invisible armor. Then, one day, I'd had enough. I decided I was done shrinking, just to make someone else feel taller. So the next time we met, I walked in differently. I kept my posture tall, my chin up, and whenever they threw one of their usual remarks, I simply smiled, held their gaze, and moved on, completely unfazed. And something surprising happened. They started to back off. It was like they could sense that their words no longer had a grip on me. The power they once held, the ability to make me feel small, was gone. I had reclaimed it, not with confrontation, not with anger, but with calm, quiet confidence. There's something magnetic about holding your head high. It's like an invisible shield, one only you can create. It sends a signal that you know your worth and you're no longer seeking permission to claim it. People who thrive on control or manipulation often don't like this. It throws them off. It disrupts their mental narrative, the one where they believe they can dominate, diminish, or define you. But here's the thing, you're not holding your head high for them. You're doing it for you. It's not about pretending to be strong. It's about living as if you already know your worth, because deep down you do. It's a daily decision to walk in alignment with your value, even if no one else acknowledges it. Your self-respect doesn't need their approval. Your self-worth isn't something others grant you. It's something you give yourself. Holding your head high is like reminding the world and yourself that you're the main character in your story. No one else gets to rewrite your script. Now, I won't lie. This didn't come easily to me. There was a time when I'd avoid eye contact, keep my shoulders hunched, try to make myself invisible just to avoid judgment. But the more I practiced walking tall, no matter what others said, the stronger I became. Every time I refused to absorb someone's negativity, I gained a little more of myself back. Holding your head high isn't about arrogance. It's about honoring the truth that you are enough exactly as you are. And in the next part, we'll dive into something just as important, not how others treat you, but how you choose to respond. Even in the most triggering moments we just talked about, the power of holding your head high, but that confidence isn't just physical posture. It's mental posture too, because the way you carry yourself internally matters just as much as how you stand on the outside. So when you walk into a room, do it like you belong there. Because you do. Don't shrink yourself to fit someone else's narrow idea of who you should be. You weren't meant to live small just to make others comfortable. If someone throws a harsh comment your way, let it roll off you. Their words say more about them than they do about you. Most of the time, it's not really about you at all. It's a projection of their own insecurity, their own internal battles. Don't carry what was never yours to hold. So, the next time you find yourself facing disrespect, take a moment. Breathe deeply, straighten your shoulders, lift your chin, and look them in the eye, not with anger, but with calm clarity. A silent message that says, I see what you're doing, but I'm above this. You'll feel something shift inside you, a wave of calm confidence, a quiet strength that reminds you, their words don't define you. They never did. Because respect begins with you, and the more you respect yourself, truly, deeply, the less room there is for other people's disrespect to attach to you. It slips off like water off stone. So stand tall, own your worth, and remind yourself every single day you are worthy of every ounce of confidence you carry. Now you have a set of powerful tools, real, actionable ways to handle those who can't. See your value. Life is too short to twist yourself into shapes that fit the limited view of others. You don't need anyone's permission to protect your peace, to speak with quiet strength, and to live life fully on your own terms. Thank you for watching. If something in this video resonated with you, if it helped you feel just a little more grounded, a little more seen, go ahead and give it a like. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a message like this again. Feel free to share this video with someone who needs a reminder to stand tall, set boundaries, and reclaim their power. And hey, if you've got a personal story about handling disrespect or learning to protect your energy, drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. Until next time, stay grounded, stay strong, and always remember, respect starts with you.